such thing. Why? Because science can prove everything.
But do you really think science can prove everything?
The natural and human science is considered as the most accurate field of reality because it explains a lot of mystery of our world. It fills up missing jigsaw puzzle to make our world complete through rational and logical way which gain consensus easily from the crowd. One of the main examples to show the effectiveness of science is the amount of religious belief they have disproved. During the ancient time, civilization are full of theories and myths about spirits and goddesses. Whenever humans cannot explain something, they tend to blame it on supernatural beings with some creative reasoning that they made up on their own. One of the common topics they tend to do this on is weather. Ancient Chinese believe rain is controlled by the Dragon King living in the East Ocean. By pleasing him, it will allow the amount of rain to be desirable that benefit the production of crops. Also, they believe rain is the tears of God on unpleasant things that happen among moral world. It is a signal to us that something we are doing currently isn't right and must do something to correct it before it went worse. For lightning, they have a similar belief. Lightning symbolizes the rage of goddess. It is a kind of punishment onto moral world for committing inappropriate deed, and moral must do something to correct it. However, as time passed by, the intervention of science development explained all of this natural phenomenon in a much logical way. As we all know, raining is a process in the water cycle. Water from the ocean and rivers evaporate due to the heat of the sun into water vapors. The water vapor condense together due to the change of temperature and form a cloud. As the cloud gets too heavy, as more water vapor condense together, water vapor fall back to the ground. This is called precipitation, more commonly known as raining. Lightning is caused through a similar process. When water vapor condense together in a cloud, collision between each of them will generate electrical current. When a lot of this collision occur within the cloud, electrical current generated strong enough to be apparent to us, which is what we call it lightning. Another example will be the spherical Earth. At early age of human civilization, everyone believed the Earth is in the shape of disk or a flat piece of land. Monsters live at the edge, and once you pass the edge, you will fall into eternal darkness. Until the first successful voyage around the Earth made by Ferdinand Magellan with his teammate, people start to have the idea that Earth is in a shape of sphere. Through the process of experiment, people disprove a lot of unknown with actual evidence they collected. The crowd tend to accept actual proof more and will support the thesis to be accurate after reviewing on the experiment being carried out. Therefore, science provides an accurate view on reality by proving theory with experiment and actual evidence.
But there are things like God, faith, and love that science can prove it. Although we are able to explain most of the basic information from the natural science, such as the law of gravity, natural phenomenon, and things like that, however, there are still things that science can't explain it. One of the most important things that science can't explain is our feeling, which leads to faith. Although scientists and psychologists says that they are able to explain how our brain function, and throughout the knowledge of our brain function, they are able to explain what makes us have those feelings. But actually, what we would like to know about our feelings still haven't explained it. An example of two famous scientists, John Nanos and Richard Dawkins, makes a perfect example of why science can explain feelings and faith. In the God delusion debate, Richard Dawkins says that faith in Einstein's theory of relativity is evidence-based. That of course it is, but this evidence is all important like Einstein's predictions which fit in with observed facts and with a whole body of theories, whereas we only needed to use the word faith when there isn't any evidence. When Richard Dawkins starts to talk about the word faith is being used when we don't have any evidence, John Nanos questioning back to Richard Dawkins, he said, "I said presume that you got faith in your wife. Is there any evidence for that?" At first, Richard Dawkins says that he got a plenty of evidence to show that he got faith in his wife. However, when he started to prove it, he is unable to explain it but just tells John Nanos that let's don't talk about his wife. This example shows that even a great scientist like Richard Dawkins still can't explain the evidence for faith. As what John Nanos says, not all the statements of scientists are statements of science, which reflects on this example that the statement of Richard Dawkins says he got faith in his wife. It doesn't prove any scientific evidence in it, and it shows to the audience that science can't prove any faith. The other example that science can't explain is our existence. As René Descartes said, the senses deceive from time to time, and it is prudent never to trust fully those who have deceived us even once, meaning that our senses deceive us from a long time period and telling us don't trust to something that deceived us once. As the knowledge of science is gained through our senses, how do we know that our senses doesn't deceive us? It is where science can't explain it, even though methodology helps us explain most of the things that we would like to know about this world, but the most important things that still haven't have an answer is our existence. We can't prove that there is only one universe in space, or maybe it is a parallel universe where science can't explain it. Also, science can explain what happened to us when we died in this world. Maybe we will go back to the original world we're supposed to be, or our soul will go into other places, which no one knows. As A.J. Ayer says, only statements that can be proved rationally or empirically are meaningful, which means we are able to prove things by logic, and through logic those things are meaningful. However, our existence is also a meaningful thing, but we are not able to prove it. So it's a metaphysical statement like our existence aren't meaningful. Through faith and our existence, those two important things, we're able to know that not everything that science can be able to explain it.
The weather forecast says it's going to be sunny today.
Science could be faulty. Concepts that people believe to be based on scientific methods but do not actually do so are known as pseudosciences. It's unfair to say that it can provide an accurate view of reality because science could be inaccurate. Remember how the media kept on spreading the information that on the 21st of December 2012, the world will end because of all these so-called scientific proofs, from astronomy and the predictions of the Mayan calendar. Did it ever happen? Pseudoscience. What happened to the typhoon number 8 that were announced on the weather forecast but never came? Pseudoscience. We tend to think science can predict everything. In fact, faulty sciences are everywhere. If scientists continue to disprove old theories, making paradigm shifts, then basically nothing is absolute or certain. There are always more sophisticated and rational explanations of phenomena as time goes by. Not saying that the new ones are always correct, but scientists do tend to make better explanations that more people will agree on. An example would be Leverrier, who believed to have discovered a new planet which he named Vulcan. He believed that it was located between Mercury and the Sun as he proposed an explanation for the weird orbiting of Mercury. Einstein's theory of general relativity, however, then gave a more convincing explanation for its weirdness, and Verrier's idea was basically denied. Yet again, we see that scientific theories can be disproved, meaning that we can never be certain about science because there are always flaws. Before the development of cladistics, classification of living things were done by morphology, and the classifications were known as artificial classifications that essentially were used to trace down how evolution happened, and guessing which species have a common ancestor by looking at the physical traits of species. Later on, the advancement in technology allowed scientists to trace the evolution by genetics, which was a more reliable way of tracking evolution, and revealed that a lot of past assumptions were completely false, again showing that science could be flawed. My point basically is that another area of knowledge, for example mathematics, can also give us an accurate view of reality. There are theorems like Pythagoras' theorem, a crucial component for explaining theories of space, time, and gravity, logarithms, the foundation for radioactive decay and calculating astronomical phenomena, or the square root of -1, which is a foundation for understanding waves, heat, electricity, magnetism, and etc., which are also used to understand how the world works basically. However, mathematics is difficult to disprove. 1 plus 1 equals 2 is arguably a worldwide consensus that makes sense arithmetically. Meanwhile, science can always be disproved with new theories, making it less reliable and valid than mathematics.
See? Science is not the most accurate. No, you're wrong.
We are right. You're wrong. We are right. You're wrong. We are right. You're wrong. We are right.
With science, we can easily achieve consensus, as it is greatly based on rational ideas and theories. A lot of people will agree that when we release a pencil, it will fall to the ground, and that it is based on law of gravity. Or when we run, we will sweat because we need to cool ourselves down. But does the natural and human sciences provide the most accurate view of reality? Aristotle's study on botany, for example, lasted for 2,300 years. The longevity of his findings may suggest that it may hold true for eternity. The law of gravity or motion seem to have everyone's agreement on. However, we can never know what may change in the future or what new information can be gathered to disprove these ideas. Since we will never know what is accurate because nothing is absolute, and we can never look to what will happen in the future, science is only accurate in the sense that many people will agree on. But then there are areas like mathematics that are equally accurate in explaining reality. So does science provide the most accurate view of reality? In fact, we don't know. All we know is that it seems reliable in understanding phenomena about the world. So what do you think? Do you think science provides the most accurate view of reality?